going down? Sourdough Squad. How are you guys doing today on this beautiful Friday? Congratulations to all of you who have to go in, clock in, get into work, get out. It's the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, which means we are one weekend closer to training camp. Feels like a very consistent topic that we keep talking about, just one day closer to camp. But we already see the entire bread gang in the building. You know the vibes. Drop that SDS in the chat. If you're vibing with your boy, drop a little bread emoji for the squad. Let's see all the gang. What's good? Peyton, we got J-Tan in the building. Bebop, haven't seen you around these parts. Good to see you. Dabbing Hyena, Justin, chat legend. Shout out to all the homies popping in. You know the vibe. Smash that like button. And we got Hype Prod in the building. We see you, my boy. Shout out Tony. Shout out the good old boys. Shout out 916 Dylan, my boy. Good to see the squad today. So today we're a little loosey goosey. I'm going to let you guys drive what the hell we talk about. So if you have any comments, questions, thoughts that have been percolating, anything, drop it in the chat. We will pull it. Again, super chat, no super chat, doesn't matter. We will get to it. But it is good to see all the homies. And we got a new member. Welcome to the South. I swear to God, we got to come up with something. I got to get these production values up here a little bit when we get new members. But shout out, Dabbing Hyena, newest member of the Sourdough Squad. We appreciate you, your services to the SDS. Good to see the whole squad in here, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube. It's good to see you guys. And again, this is the Ask Me Anything. So say whatever you want. Right off the bat, he says, AMA, no hat today. Signs of a midlife crisis. Signs that I'm loving the status of the hair. The flow is going right now. So we got to let it out a little bit more. I've historically worn hats, whether frontwards, backwards. But today, or this week, I'm moving towards that process where you're letting the hair go. It feels great. But let's get into some of these questions, and we'll keep going. And I'm just going to try to go down the list in chronological order. And again, feel free to chime in, tap in. We want you to be a part of the conversation. We don't want to just hear me talking the whole time. So we want to get your thoughts on all the things that we're discussing. And first off, right off the bat, do you still have Jimmy G? Last I heard, Debo wants out of San Francisco. I don't personally have Jimmy G. The San Francisco 49ers have Jimmy G. And take the Jeremy Fowler reports for whatever you want. He said that Debo Samuel has not rescinded his trade offer, but that doesn't mean doesn't mean he wants out per se. So I think Debo, I'm hoping that in the next couple days here, we find out that we get a little contract extension news right before training camp. Tommy's got the COVID. Sorry to hear that, my boy. He said, don't go to Florida. Hopefully that gets figured out for you. We're hoping that you get through that with no issues. We can talk 49ers fantasy outlooks today. We can talk about positional targets. We can talk about who to get, who not to get. And to be honest, if we're gonna start off with a little bit of fantasy, and we're gonna talk about San Francisco 49ers, ADP and value, I think, is always going to be a huge determining factor in how you draft. I think it really matters where you get a guy, because you don't want to overpay. You don't want to wait too long and miss out on your guy. Again, Debo Samuel, his value, if we do, I'll tell you right now, Uh, Looking at his ADP amongst fantasy, he's currently going in the second round. So if you want to of get your share of Debo Samuel, you're going to have to pay. So just be prepared. And so I tend, and it's not always a proven strategy. I get burned here all the time, but I try to take advantage of ADP. I try to take advantage of getting the guy who's going to explode. That way, you get him at a reasonable price, and then you are essentially getting more value. And then you can kind of build your roster accordingly. Taking a wide receiver like a Debo Samuel in the second round with the contract situation he's going through, not going from Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance. And again, what does the volume look like? Um, I would be more inclined to lean a little Brandon Ayuk in fantasy because I think Brandon Ayuk, his value could potentially, where you're drafting him, he could be a huge outperformer. And Brandon Ayuk is being drafted in the ninth round. So you got second round Debo, ninth round Brandon Ayuk. I kind of feel like I'd kind of pass on Debo at that second round ADP because that's rich. That's rich. And not that he's not worth it, but it's also a little bit of that limbo of like how do we preface the value? So I like the value of Brandon Ayuk over Debo. I think Debo's the better player right now, but the ADP and value has me leaning Brandon Ayuk. If you get Brandon Ayuk in that ninth, eighth round as your wide receiver 3, whew, you might be winning your championship this year. So if you have any more specific fantasy questions, feel free to let those rip. Uh, but I'm just going to go down the list. What would you take to trade Jimmy? I would take anything. For being honest, I would take a player. I would I would almost want to take a player. I would try to obviously if I'm John Lynch and I have an entire pro scouting department who has just lists, tape cut ups, every evaluation that I can think of. I'm going to them and I'm being like, let's find a player that clearly hasn't found a home at his current spot, but still has value that we think change of scenery could potentially bring a different outcome. So I would take a player that maybe some other team is down on, maybe wasn't a good fit. Obviously, like a perfect example is the 49ers don't need another wide receiver, but you saw N'Keal Harry get traded for a seventh round draft pick in 2024, former first round draft pick. I would like to find something like that, whether it's offensive line, potentially maybe safety help, maybe, I don't know, whatever, another tight end. I would also look at that. I would look at maybe getting a player, a potentially young player, who still has a potential to be elite or to grow, I should say, and maybe just start anew with the 49ers. But honestly, I would take fourth round pick, fifth round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo if it really came up to it. Let's see here. How do you become elite? I guess you're just a savage. That's what it comes down to. It's just what it comes down to. Let's see. Oh yeah, we saw this today. Let's talk a little rankings, huh? Let's talk a little rankings. We had Trent Williams land number 1 left tackle in the NFL. Literally no surprise. Uh, we also had Trent Williams. Or I'm sorry, just said Trent Williams. George Kittle land number 1 on the tight end list. But Jimmy Ward missed out. To be honest, this feels like it suits Jimmy Ward better. This feels like something where Jimmy Ward is going to see this. Also, just so you know, there's a fly and you might see me talking and I might just like swat just so you know, I'm fly hunting while we are also doing the live. There's this little son of a gun hanging around here, and I'm ready. So don't you mess with me, fly. Look, I've been putting in the work too. So don't you mess with me. Not today on this Friday. So if you see me swatting, you know what the vibes are. Swat that like button while you're at it. And if we get the fly, this live better be to 100 likes. I swear. I'm coming for it. So if you see me completely lose my train of thought, it's because I got one eye on the fly. Oh, hold on. Oh, where's the remains? I might have got it. Where are the remains? We need to confirm. We need to confirm the KIA. We need to confirm it. But anyways, I'm sorry. Instead of squirrel, it's fly today. But I like this for Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward performs better when he isn't being propped. I feel like Jimmy is got an unlimited sized chip on his shoulder, like a whole bag of Dorito chips just sitting there. And so I think Jimmy Ward is absolutely in the conversation. I didn't see the full list, so I can't really debate it at this current time. But I think Jimmy Ward is proven to be one of the better safeties in the league. So I actually don't mind that it's not he's not on it, because I think he feeds off that a little bit more than other guys. Um, Sean asks, what are your thoughts on our new running back corp and how they will be utilized? Again, RBBC, running back by committee. Fantasy questions, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Just be prepared. If you're drafting TDP, you're drafting Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, they are going to be in a committee. And you got to figure out who fits what role. So I imagine you're going to have a third down back. We've talked about Jordan Mason potentially being that third down back. Historically, you've had guys like Jermichael Hasty in this current room be the third down back. I imagine they have a role for that position. And it's going to be interesting to see who holds that down. But base down backs, first down, second down, I would imagine Jeff Wilson. I would imagine Elijah Mitchell and TDP all mixed in. But we have a reference to training camp. Trey Sermon last year, training camp, number one running back with team in the team periods. Was not that way throughout the year. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. They got a lot of options, which we understand with all the injury concerns. That's a good thing. It's a good thing at this point. So I like the core that we have. It gives us options. We can still utilize outside zone, but I think one of the fun things that we're going to see is more inside and mid zone. So a lot more running between the tackles than we've seen in years past. So that's actually something I'm looking forward to. Do you think Brandon Ayuk is a future MVP? Well, it's really hard, I think, in my opinion, for wide receivers to win MVP. However, I don't, because this is the hard thing. If Brandon Ayuk is in consideration for MVP, well, I guess you can make the counter argument to last year. Deebo Samuel was definitely inching into that conversation of MVP, or MIP, most important player, outside of the quarterback. But typically, when I look at wide receiver production, it's coming at the hands of a quarterback. And if Trey Lance is feeding Brandon Ayuk as well as feeding Kittle, Debo, Jawan, Ray, and all the other guys that come along with it, it kind of feels like Trey would be that MVP candidate. I think Brandon Ayuk could reach top 5 status as a wide receiver. I think he has that type of talent. Um, and of course, the rapport that we are excited to see. But you never know. You never know. It could absolutely happen. It could absolutely happen. Let's see. Uh, Joey says, "Can we talk about Albright saying Scangarello wasn't the person that started the Trey bashing?" We're pulling receipts on who started the trend, eh? So that would kind of imply that if he doesn't believe it's Scangarello, that he does know who it is. God, I don't know. Gonna be interesting. I don't know who. I don't know what the benefit would be really if it was coming from someone who still had any interest in the 49ers being successful. It just feels like you're putting the kid at the disadvantage at this point. But who knows? Who knows who it is, why it's happening, what the situation is. Uh, let's see here. Let me try to catch up a little bit. Uh, oh, we got a birthday. Shout out Roman, by the way. Love the name. It's the name of my son as well. Make sure you give Roman a little birthday shout out as well. So shout out. Happy birthday, my boy. Justin says, Brad, if Dallas can lock up Dalton Schultz long term, can't. Do you think pairing him with Kittle, considering the amount that Kyle Shanahan likes to run two tights, and George is heading towards that point in his contract where you never know what's going to happen. I don't see the 49ers looking. I think they're going to be looking to upgrade that position next year. And I would assume George Kittle is going to be here. But I would assume that they're actually going to be looking to add some pretty serviceable situations regarding, some supplement to Kittle, I would say. Tony said, where are we at with McGlinchey? I don't know. Maybe McGlinchey might be letting us know for himself. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But McGlinchey potentially could be letting us know from himself. Potentially, not locked in yet. Potentially. So we'll see how that goes. But we could have a potential of him letting us know himself. But we will wait and see. Travis says Trey Lance going to be a top 8 quarterback. You can draft late, like round 12 in redraft leagues. Oh yeah, he's going to be a late. He's going to be a big boomer bust candidate for sure. Obviously, we think he's going to boom, especially at the ADP in which he's drafted. So, could absolutely be a great target. Let's see here. Who's starting at strong safety? I really think that the 49ers are going to be putting out Jimmy Ward and Talanoa Hufanga. I really just feel like they love Hufanga in that building. They were really trying to get Hufanga involved last year. And like that should tell you a lot about, as a rookie, really trying to get him in, and you had Kowalski on the roster, who is no slouch himself. He played really good down the stretch. Obviously, everyone focuses on the last play that he made or didn't make, but he definitely picked it up down the line. But they were still really adamant about getting Talanoa Hufanga on the field. So I really think the 49ers, we're going to show up to training camp and it's going to be a lot of Jimmy Ward and it's going to be a lot of Talanoa Hufanga. And I just have a feeling if you guys haven't really seen Talanoa Hufanga and if any of you guys are going to be at training camp coming on up, I would implore you uh, to focus on Talanoa Hufanga for during team periods, ideally with pads, and ideally going up against the ones. But I would just say watch Talanoa for a period and just watch how he moves and how instinctual he is. And again, we understand he might not be the fastest guy in the world, but he's very instinctual and he knows how to read and react at a very high level. So I do think he would be worth a watch. If you are going to training camp and you have the opportunity, just watch him. Just watch him play. I will never forget the it was such perfect timing last year's training camp because I'm a big offensive line guy. So when I'm watching offensive line, I'm watching like I'm kind of transitioning between offensive linemen or sides because let's face it, I don't have 40 eyes. So I can't watch and evaluate every individual player. So I have to pick and choose position groups. So I like to stick with offensive line. It tells me about the defensive line at the same time. And I just watch them play. Well, they were in pads one day. And this particular day, Talanoa Hufanga was able to run with the ones. This was the first time all training camp that Talanoa got the opportunity to run with the ones on defense next to Jimmy Ward, Fred Warner in front of him, Dre Greenlaw, Al Shire, starting defensive line, and you had Emmanuel Mosley out there, and so that particular day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Talanoa. He's obviously getting the opportunity. Tavon Wilson was out. Tarvarius Moore was out. Kowalski was out. So it was Ward and Talanoa. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to watch. I'm going to like focus on Hufanga today. I was immensely impressed. And that was rookie training camp. And so just watching him in rookie training camp, watching his ability to identify and the instincts that come along with it, he was in the hole every time. Like anytime there was a run play, he was right there. Like he knew what was developing in front of him. He knew how to address it and he knew how to attack it. And as a rookie, I was like, okay. I was like, that's a pretty impressive. Like it's practice. Yeah, it's practice. It's impressive for practice. Like, maybe doesn't translate perfectly to the game. We recognize that, but watching him that day, I was like, he's pretty good. Like he has some baseline stuff that you can really build upon and work on. And it appears he's attacked a lot of the things that he has needed help on or perceived to be needed help on. And I think he's made strides. I think the 49ers have told you that he's made strides. So I'm excited. I think I'm not too worried about it. I could see the 49ers potentially bringing in some help because let's face it, you look at George Odom, they paid him a lot of money. It is what it is. And I think he is going to be primarily used as a special teamer, but has an opportunity to compete. I don't know if Tarvarius Moore is going to make this roster. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he is. So whether that's them wanting to rely on an undrafted free agent like Leon O'Neal, Taylor Hawkins, maybe. Leon looks ready. Leon looks like a dog. I don't know about you guys. Like I take a lot of from mentality and I think Leon's got the right mentality. And I think he's hungry because he went undrafted and he really doesn't believe he should have. So maybe he is a good fit to be the fourth guy at the safety position. Travis says, Brad, let me join your fantasy league. I don't know. Maybe we got to do a SDS fantasy league this year. We might got to do an SDS fantasy league this year. It might have to happen. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know how we go about choosing who's going to be in it, but we might have to do a little bit of an SDS fantasy league just so we can be chirping each other all week. Uh, that might be fun. That definitely might be fun. Let's see here. Again, I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to catch up in chronicle chronological order. Again, drop your questions in the chat if you do got them. Again, you can see I'm a little bit behind because I'll get caught up on a question. But again, feel free to drop any of your questions, comments in the chat, and we can talk about it together. But I am looking forward to getting to training camp. What's good? Javi says, what up, my fellow Niner brothers? What's up, man? I don't know, man. You guys drive the topic. You tell me. You tell me what you want to talk about. You tell me what you want to talk about. Listen to the man. Sack that like button. What's good, Niner by nature? Good to see you around these parts. Aha! John Warsek says, should we keep Ford as a third down rusher? If not hurt, the guy is a beast. I posed this particular question on Instagram today because, again, let's think about it. It is July 15th, and a lot of focus is going to Jimmy Garoppolo still being on the roster, right? Dee Ford is still on the roster. I'll say that again. Dee Ford is still on the roster. And to be perfectly honest with you, what if we just blink? Because let's be fair. Kyle Shanahan came out and said almost emphatically that he does not envision Dee Ford being on the roster or expect Dee Ford to be on the roster. And he felt pretty confident. It felt like a pretty confident answer. Like, yeah, I don't expect him to be here. But you know, Dee Ford carries, I believe, a $14 million cap hit. I mean, we are post June 1 right now. And I can even kind of pull it up because I know when we have a lot of conversations about this, it comes to his contract. But I think if you really look at his contract, at least from this information here, you save really nothing in the grand scheme of things if you were to cut Dee Ford. So if your argument is about how much money he's making, just be in the understanding that you're paying Dee Ford whether he's on the team or not. So coming from that perspective of him being on this like he's getting paid millions no matter what. So I'm putting my economics hat on, and we've seen the 49ers, how they've moved. They don't necessarily love just spending money on players that aren't either going to garner a return or whatever. You know what I mean? So this is one thing that I'm just thinking about. I'm just thinking about, like, if you're only saving less than $1 million, which in the grand scheme of things, taking a step back, that's nothing. With a cap that's over 200 mil. So if you're not saving any money, why not bring him into camp if he's healthy? Big if, big if he's healthy, bring him into camp and just see. Just see. You got a 90-man roster to fill. You got a 90-man roster. And let's say Dee Ford looks good early and maybe tapers off at the end. You're still getting good work for the guys. Like, it's still good work. So I'll say this because I was kind of reminded. I keep talking about this, like, up until like week 5, week 7, Dee Ford was playing it not a ton of snaps, but decent amount of snaps. He was showing glimpses of not necessarily the old Dee Ford, but you know, like he got 3 sacks. I think he got 3 sacks in 6 games. He had a couple quarterback hits. Again, you extrapolate 3 sacks, average that out a 17-game season opposed to a 6-game. That's decent. That's a decent production. So I'll just say this. I understand where everyone's coming from. Just move on. I've been there. I've been in that same boat. Like, can we just rip the Band-Aid off? But if you are paying him and he's getting paid regardless, you're not saving any money, because if you cut him, you're literally in the same boat as if you keep him. So you have a 90-man roster to fill. If he's shown the signs of progression, and we know how it goes. We saw it last year. He looked decent in camp. You guys remember all the reports of Dee Ford at Chargers camp? Looked like one of the best players on the field, demolishing the Chargers offensive line in the joint practices. And so if you can just see, you guys are ruthless. But if you could just see, again, just work with me on the thought process. Just work with me on the thought process. If he has shown a baseline ability to participate in camp, why not? Just why not? Why not bring him into camp? You can still cut him at the back end of the 53, but if he goes all throughout camp and he shows promise, again, yeah, you might lose a roster spot. I hear that argument. Well, that's one roster spot that goes to Ford instead of someone else. Ford's going to get hurt during the year. So I understand that thought process. But why not just bring him into camp? Why not just bring him into camp? See what happens. Because he gave McGlinchey a lot of good work last year. They had some good battles in training camp. And that's good work. McGlinchey got better because of it. So at the worst case scenario, you're just helping your guys get a little bit better with a decent pass rush. Now, I agree with everyone that's saying you can't count on him. 100%. You cannot count on him. We talked about this last year. This was literally what we said last year. You go into this year like pretending Dee Ford doesn't exist because you can't count on his health. It would be the same process. This time, we're just can't. We're not even talking about making the team. We're just talking about camp. Can he come into camp and prove that he's healthy and earn a spot? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to it at all. I know a lot of people are over it, but hey, maybe. Maybe. Oh, we're talking my goals? Is this like a channel-based question from Gammon? Again, you can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be totally football related. You guys are wild. Oh, D Hurd. Oh, you guys are ruthless. You guys are ruthless. And I understand. I get it. It's just a thought process that I have. Done since 2019. I get you. I hear you. Not everyone's about it. They're over it. I get it. 100%. I get it. But, I'm a bit of an optimist. I'm a hopeless romantic when it comes to football. So I like to give guys opportunities. You know what I mean? Um, I'm definitely always going to land on the side of giving guys opportunities to rise from the ashes. I'm a romantic about football that way. I love the underdog. I love the guy that everyone's counted out. Everyone is you guys are roasting them in the chat right now. I like those kinds of guys. You'll notice that about me. I'm big on what if? Hey, JV was a what if while you guys roast him in the chat. But anyways, you get the point. Did you reach all your goals last season? I reached a lot of goals last season. I definitely have reached a lot of goals this off season. Growth on YouTube has been phenomenal. The support of the SDS has been amazing. I still got big goals for YouTube. I'm not even close to being done with my YouTube goals. Still got a lot of work into YouTube. I'll be honest with you, IG is a shit platform. Like, I love IG's community. I love what IG was. I love what IG was. When they sold to Facebook, oh boy, oh boy. Let me tell you a little bit about my IG situation. I actively watch Instagram suppress my posts, and they asked me on IG, like literally, they try to get me to boost my posts at least 6 to 7 times a day while they have bots running the app. And I'm like, I'm not paying you money to throw bots at my post in the form of engagement. Like, that's not happening. I can't stand IG. I cannot. So, my biggest thing, if you want to organically grow a platform, do not go to IG. I think it's necessary, but it is so difficult. And if you don't have tons of money to throw to boost posts, it's tough. So a lot of my goals, are here on YouTube for growth. Other platforms, Facebook, we're actually killing it on Facebook. Shout out to all the people in the SF Niners fan chat that we got going. Just since I shared, I think like a month ago, we're already up over 1,000 followers. We got guys in this chat who are posting regularly to that chat. We got posts doing numbers in that chat. So that's growing. We got a lot of stuff that we're cooking up. I can't give away all the secrets, but anytime you give me an opportunity to vent about Instagram, I will do it because it could be so good, but it's so bad, unfortunately. Shout out Gammon. But we got big goals. I hit a lot of goals last season. Some of the goals this season obviously are going to revolve around subscriber counts, sub, whatever that's called, the joining, the sourdough squad, those types of things. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be building. And I want to do more original content. Obviously, you guys know, part of the brand is, being an aggregate. Uh, eventually, when we're raking in the millions, I want to do a lot of original content, meaning stuff I'm shooting, stuff, eventually that's the goal. Eventually the goal of this channel is that everything that touches this channel is original content. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to work up towards that. But if you guys are rocking with me now, If you're rocking with me now, my plans and goal for the channel aren't even close to what the channel is now. And obviously, the support that you guys give me on this channel allows me to inch closer to that goal of just all original content. Um, and that's where I want to get to. But as you guys can see, like it's a grind. It takes a lot. And we're not making like crazy like viral video things out there, where it's like watch us give $100,000 away to this homeless. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different of content strategy. But eventually, uh, we're gonna we're gonna be taking over the content game. I'm just letting you guys know. Just letting you guys know. And if you're day one SDS, day two SDS even, or day three SDS, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But again, I appreciate all you guys' support, throughout all this. Uh Corey says about Ford, maybe, but if he's hurt, then it's quite literally dead. Ouch. Ouch. And he hasn't been healthy in 3 years. At least a healthy body can produce, which is true. Which is true. I hear you there. So I hear the arguments of just move on, just rip the band-aid off. I'm not asking for Dee Ford to be on the 53 yet. It might happen. For right now, I'm just give him a chance. Like, why not? We've made it this far. We've made it this far. It's been 3 years. And again, I'm a sucker for the underdog. Uh and if you told me just like you told me about Jason Verrett, like remember 2019 Jason Verrett? He got 2 snaps. He got 2 snaps against Pittsburgh and got cooked. Cooked. And I was like, "Oh, the Jason Verrett experiment, no good." They're like, "Oh, we're going to bring him back one more year." And everyone had the same thought process. Oh, like, "Oh, get rid of this guy." Same energy that people had for Dee Ford, they had for Jason Verrett. Jason Verrett comes back in 2020 and puts up a Pro Bowl caliber season. So I'm a sucker for that. Like, I will always be a sucker for that. I will always root for those guys. I will always root for those stories because I do care about the guys underneath the helmet. And I understand that Dee Ford has probably gone through a lot of mental anguish of having to deal with injuries. Um, I can relate. My back's falling apart on me. I want to go work out, but I can't even stand up straight half the time. So I can resonate with that. And if he gets the opportunity, I would feel good just if he got the opportunity. It doesn't mean it's going to become that Verrett story, but let's say 2022 Dee Ford pumps out 8 sacks and survives a 17-game season. People aren't going to be too upset about that. They're going to be like, yeah, we'll take that. We're real happy about Arden Key getting 6 sacks. You imagine Dee Ford got 8 and was healthy an entire year? That's a big if. But the thought of that, overcoming the adversity, like I root for those guys. So I wouldn't mind it. I would not mind it. Uh, I would not mind it at all. But thank you guys for the super chats, by the way. Really do appreciate it. Gammon says, AMA, last question. Walk us through the process of interviewing current 49ers players. Is this something that you plan to do more of? It is. And I was kind of hinting at that a little bit earlier with the McGlinchey talk. I am efforting a couple guys. I just want to get a couple guys in here. Hold on. Shh. 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 Mother sucker! Whoa. Got him. Got him. He dead. I hate flies. I hate flies. I got him. Finally. Took the whole show. All right. Walk through the process of interviewing. Is this something I do enjoy it. I definitely do enjoy talking to these guys because I like talking about football. You know what I mean? I think when we hear from them, a lot of the questions that we get are about other guys, and I'm always going to ask these guys about like, "Oh, what do you think about this guy?" or what is it like playing with this guy? Like, I'm always going to ask those questions, but I'm always going to ask them questions about them. You know what I mean? Like, I think that gets missed sometimes. Like, we can see guys at the podium, and they won't get a single question about them, like, about their journey, about their process, about what their season looked like. It's like, "Oh, tell us about Trey Lance," or "Tell us about this," or which is again, like I said, I'm gonna ask those questions too, so I'm not trying to be a hypocrite or anything. But I think the biggest thing that I do like about interviewing the players, I just like asking like, what is your thought process on what you do? Like that maybe we miss or we don't understand, or some of the human elements that go into these types of things. So that's why I like talking to the players. I really just like, and again, when we talked to Javon Kinlaw earlier this year, it was just really cool to hear Javon check his energy, hear the way he talked about his injury, the way how it's affected him his whole life. And you just really get a perspective of guys. Because I think as fans, when we see the helmet, we see the jersey, we're not thinking of the person. We're not thinking of like what that person had to go through to get to this point. That's why I'm always like chill with, some of the like just hating on these dudes because it's like you got no idea, right? You got no idea what these guys are fighting off the field. And if you only knew, then I guarantee your tone switches. Um, but that's why I'm always going to give guys benefit of the doubt. I want to hear their side. I want to hear their story. And that's what I like rooting for guys. I like rooting for Javon Kinlaws. I like rooting for Mike McGlinchey's. I like rooting for guys who have the potential to be very good, struggle because I played this game. I understand the struggles that come along with playing this game. It's very up and down. You have good weeks of practice, you have bad weeks of practice, you have good games, you have bad games. The biggest thing is about just being as consistent as possible. So I just love trying to find more about the person and just like their process and what they're thinking and those types of stuff. So I appreciate the question, Gammon. Um, the channel based questions, nice. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Ooh, SDS takeover. Whoo! SDS taking over training camp here soon. We're gonna have the SDS out and about training camp. Gonna be fun. Oh, my guy says, appreciate you, Mr. Josiah. He says, I appreciate this page. Your channel plus YouTube premium is an elite combo. Love it. And again, I appreciate everyone's support as we continue to grow. My guy says, I've been down since the McDonald's Wi-Fi SDS gang. Oh man, if you've been down since the McDonald's Wi-Fi days, you made it. We're still like creeping up. Like we're not even, like I said, I'm not even like, this isn't the finished product. Like it's not even close to what the finished product I think could be. So I have a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of dreams for the type of content. My goals have always been to cover this team differently than anyone's ever covered a team. And that's through visual, that's through audio, that's through a much different form because unfortunately I have ADHD. And guess what? Having ADHD doesn't transfer to writing articles very well. I can write. I can do that. I've It's been a process to learn how to write. Uh, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If I don't have an editor, like I'm screwed. Like my brain just telling you. So that's why it's always been my goal to cover this team differently. It's always been my goal to cover them through a visual medium, through an audio medium. I know that's not the standard in which the NFL operates off of. They want print journalism. I'm not, a journalist, but I still think there's a way to cover. I think there's a way to cover the team in a different way where you're still getting across the same information. It's just done differently. So that's my process. Like we can still report, we can still give analysis, we can still do all those things, but we can do it in a different way. So that's always been the vibe. Always been the vibe. And again, any other questions that you guys got? Uh any other questions that you guys got? Uh feel free to drop them in. I'm gonna try to catch up on some of the comments here. Let's see. And again, smash that like button. Why not? Maybe I think our like goal today should be 100. I don't know where we're at. Anyone could absolutely update me. Uh, let's see. Are you saying J-Tan saying, Brad, talk about the number 1 and number 4 for ya attackers in the NFL? 19 and 11. I mean, I see 19 and 11. I see Deebo Samuel. I see Brandon Ayuk. But I think those guys are going to be balling. This is what we need, though. We need the ring. We need the ring more than anything else. That's what I want. I'm not going to lie. I was actually thinking about doing a call-in show today. But I've never done it. So again, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit nervous. About the call-in shows just because I've never done them before. And so it's hard to structure it or kind of determine how to structure it. So I was thinking about doing it today. Maybe next week though, because I want to do it. So maybe next week, maybe like a Tuesday, maybe I'll dedicate a call-in show for the first time. I've been saying I would. I would be saying I would. But I'm scared. I'm scared of you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. But I think so. Yeah, but this is part of it. This is part of it. There's a risk that comes along with it. And I don't want that risk to occur. But I think we'll do it. But if I don't, I think it's going to be like a situation. If I don't recognize you, like if I don't see you in the SDS, like if I don't see you around, I don't know if I'm going to be able to let you on. So it might be for OGSDS only. The call-in show might be OGSDS only. But and especially like if you have you subscribe to the channel or you've joined the channel, definitely gets you in there. But yeah, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get to it for sure. Um, so definitely, we're working on a lot of stuff, plenty of stuff. Appreciate you, Smitty, the man, the man with the vibes. So I'm excited to get some news going. I'm excited to figure out what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo. Feels like feels like that could be potentially next week. Next week, maybe we get more Jimmy Garoppolo news. Maybe things start picking up a little bit. Uh, oh, I like this comment. Peyton McDermott says, Brad, starting off, did you have any social anxiety? I always have been interested in making content, but my social anxiety is the main thing that is stopping me. This is my biggest piece of advice for anyone who wants to make content. Do it. Just unfortunately, you have to get over it because I have massive social anxiety. Uh, I'm a big doofus. Sometimes when I get in social situations, I just overthink things. Like one of the shout out ADHD. Sometimes you just process things like you over process and you almost like put yourself on a point where like it's hard to make decisions or do things because you're just over processing sometimes and you don't know which one to land on. Biggest thing is uh I have social anxiety. So um I understand. Like I understand 100% what you're going through. It was something that I identified early on when I started this that I knew I needed to do, but I just put off. You know what I mean? Like I did a pod. Like we did a podcast. Like did a podcast with my buddy in 2017 and I thought we did a pretty good job at it, but I wouldn't share it. You know, like the whole point and I had my platform back then and like the whole point of doing a podcast is sharing it with people. I was just like, I'm not going to share it with anyone. I don't want anyone to listen to me. I like doing the podcast. I like talking about sports. I just don't want anyone to listen to me. So, man, if you got social anxiety, I 100% sympathize with that. But I guarantee you, like, it's it's just like anything else. Once you get into the groove, once you are able to build a routine out, once you kind of get through it, once you approach some of your maybe insecurities or fears dead in the face, then you kind of realize, like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like for me, it's just part of my routine now. Like I do daily lives, and it feels weird. Like if I ever were to miss a live, like throughout the week, it's just weird. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I feel like I'm out of my routine at this point. Um, so my biggest thing is like it might be clunky at first. You might be super insecure at first, but just do it. You know what I mean? Just just get it done. Like trust me. And this is coming from someone who still has social anxiety. So it's not like it's ever going to go 100% away, but you learn how to manage it. You learn how to get out of your own head and do those types of things because I totally understand what you're talking about. Um, you're just like, does anyone really want to listen to me talk about the 49ers? Like, do they? Like, but sure enough, shout out to SDS. We got a little dope group here, and it's been a pretty cool experience. So I'm pretty excited about this year. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs when it comes to creating content. It's there's waves. You have good days, you have bad days. I would say the biggest thing too is like getting on this thing and doing this like regardless of what's going on behind the scenes. Like that's been one of the biggest hurdles for me is one not only dealing with the like baseline anxieties, but I'm not going to pretend like everything's been all roses, for me outside of this. So getting through those things and just coming on, trying to have good energy, uh, it goes a long way. It really does. So I would say if you want to do this, just start. And guess what? It's going to be a slow grind. Like it's going to be a grind. You're going to have your ups and your downs, but the guys who can be I think the most consistent and just keep grinding it out, you're eventually just gonna realize that you're gonna attract people who vibe with you. You're gonna attract people who are like kind of the same way. So overall, uh, it's good. So if you want to, I encourage you, and don't let your social anxieties stop you because I think it's good therapy a little bit too, just to like kind of work through it, just kind of get over it, and kind of learn those things. So, uh, yeah, do it. Do it. I like the question though. Uh, let's see. Oh, what's up, stepson? Am I going to see you at training camp this year? I hope to see my stepson at training camp this year. Zach says, personal private podcast. That's pretty much what I had. He says, I'm glad you faced it and made this channel. Thank you, Brad, from my heart. Well, thank you for being a part of it. I really do appreciate that. The Ramley wants the call in show. He wants to call in. He wants to call in and start a ruckus. I don't know. I might allow it one day just to go back and forth, see what happens. Just to see what happens. Oh, this is some real. This isn't even 49ers related, but it is true. ADHD is both a curse and an asset. I work in IT and it helps. In the real world, it can be a challenge, and your attitude is everything. 100%. I was a project manager before I was, full on the content grind. I used to do project management in the experiential event industry, and ADHD was a blessing to have because when you have so many moving parts, so many different deadlines, multiple projects at once, your ADHD is able to think about it all at once and chronologically place it. So if I didn't have my ADHD, I damn well wouldn't have been a good project manager. So it definitely helped. Oh, Insight says, Brad, honest to God, you inspired me to start my page as I love the way you approach the creator world. Hopefully, I'll be back soon on the Bay Area page. I just need a break going through something. Well, hopefully, you're good, my guy. And that is super cool to hear. Obviously, your mental health is number one. So make sure you got to do what you got to do. And we want you back, Insight. We know we want you back. So hopefully, when you're feeling a little bit better, maybe around the season, we'll get you back. But again, do what you need to do, and you already know you got the support from the SDS. So shout out my boy Insight. Whatever you need to do, man. You already know the vibes. We got your back here. So feel free to use us as your therapy session if needed. This guy says, I want ADHD. You don't want it when you're going through school and no one knows how to understand you because they don't know how your mind works. You don't want that. But once you figure out how to master it, it's not bad. It's not bad. It still has its shortcomings, though. That's for sure. Um, but that's funny. Uh, so let's see. Anything else that you guys want to talk about before we break for our Friday? I might do an IG. I might do an IG. I'm trying to say what's good to the IG folks a little bit more. Even though, bro, what was crazy about hopping on IG on the SF Niners Instagram was when I hopped on over, I think earlier last week, it was all bots. Like, what the all bots? And they're commenting. And we've been attacked by bots on this channel, but nothing compared to what it was like on IG. But I still might go over there. But the hope is you want to talk about special teams. He said top 10 kickers. Brad, break out some special teams stuff. Justin Tucker's dope. Young Hoku, legendary. Akers, legendary. Joe Nedney, legendary. Uh, Phil Dawson, legendary. What's my guy's name? How am I forgetting his name right now? Who was our long snapper? He was like our long snapper for like 8 years. Uh, dang. What was my guy's name? He was like a forever Niner almost. Before they brought in Tabor Pepper. Uh, can't forget Andy Lee. We got Twitch checking in. What's good, Twitch? Big Bob official. Let's go. Shout out Big Bob official on Twitch. Our one and only probably. Kyle Nelson. Oh, perfect timing. Kyle Nelson, 100%. Kyle Nelson, 49ers legend. Andy Lee, 49ers legend. But top 10 kickers. He said he has Robbie Gould at 9. That seems fair. I feel like kickers is such a volatile position. Just because if you get the yips, you're done or you're cut. And they typically move from team to team. So Harrison Butker for the Chiefs, Young Hoku. Didn't we have Daniel Carlson? Or am I tripping? Like Nick Folk. I always like Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was cool. But honestly, I don't know a whole lot about kickers. Mitch Wishnowsky. What about Mitch Wish? Mitch Wishnowsky. Oh, LaMichael James, 49ers special teams legend. Chase McLaughlin. Yeah, I remember that. Who are some other good special teamers for the 49ers that go unrecognized? We had some some solid linebackers. Back in the Tony Montana squad, I think it was Nick Moody. We had Nick Moody, good special teamer. We had guys like I think we had Costanzo. I think he was one. Ted Ginn Jr. 100%. Kyle Williams. Oh God, the screwed up thing about Kyle Williams is he was good. Like I liked Kyle Williams, and then he Kyle Williamsed it, and the rest is history. And there's no coming back from that. But the unfortunate thing is, I liked the way Kyle Williams' career was progressing up until that point. But then it definitely just stopped after, that whole situation with the muffed putt, the two of them. And that was it at that point. Um, I'm trying to think. We had Spellman. You remember Spielman, number 27? Yeah, we had Blake Costanzo was a Pro Bowl alternate. Who else did we have that was on that Tony Montana squad? That was kind of low key legendary unit. Uh, Bruce Miller, my doppelganger. You had Bruce Miller, Tremaine Brock out there. Ooh, Booby Dixon. Y'all remember Booby? Remember Booby? Booby was fun. Ball of energy. But that was a fun unit. Delaney Walker was rocking on that special teams unit. So that was a fun, and that's what I'm hoping for this year. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't planning on perfect timing. I wasn't planning on talking about special teams, but we should be talking about special teams because it's a phase of football that matters. And this year, I think the 49ers are gonna potentially could have one of the better teams units in the league because they're so deep. And when you have the depth, those depth players play teams and they play better. When you get hurt, those players can't play teams. You're playing scrubs off the street and your teams suck. Again, one of the reasons why the Tony Montana squad was so legendary was because of the depth that team had. The team was stacked at almost every starter position, so that everyone behind them uh, just played teams, and they were quality players. But they weren't able, like Booby Dixon ain't beating out Kendall Hunter or Frank Gore. Like Costanzo wasn't beating out Willis or Bowman. Spillman wasn't beating out, Carlos Rogers, Terrell Brown. So they just played teams. Nick Moody wasn't beating out these guys. So you got Larry Grant. Remember Larry Grant? Even. So I'm pretty. I think the special teams are going to win us football games next year, and I'm not. Oh, this makes sense. This makes sense now. I get it. So respect. We'll show some kicker love. Respect to the kickers. Uh, Regardless of what Jason Aponte tells you, kickers are people too. um, but I do believe special teams is going to be an impact this year. I think special teams is going to be like when you have good teams units, like you can feel the impact. You're able to cover well. You're able to coffin kick punts. Within the 10, you have good coverage to ensure they're not getting out. You can have teams create turnovers, um, things like that. Of course, got to make kicks, as Bryant knows. Got to make the kicks. Uh, but I'm excited. I think the teams unit this year is going to be pretty dope. Pretty dope. So, hey, rare special teams segment. Rare special teams segment. You love to see it. Uh Smash that like button for all my lurkers out there. We're getting to that point. We're getting to that point in the day. Like I said, I still think I'm going to do a live on Instagram. So you can still ask me questions over there if you care to. We got all the IG pages in here. Let's go update. Shout out all the IG pages doing work, grinding. It's our time to shine, guys. If you got an IG page, you got a Twitter account, you do content, our time's coming, guys. Just get ready. Just a slow burn. Slow burn until training camp gets here. And guys, once training camp gets here, it's 0 to 100 until the Niners win the ship. Let's go. So, man, if we oh gosh. Content was so crazy at the end of last year in the playoffs. Content was so insane. If we made it to the Super Bowl, I guarantee you this account would have made we would have went to 50K subs by the Super Bowl. Like if you gave us a 2-week window of winning the NFC Championship against the Rams after taking over SoFi Stadium and then transitioning that and leading that up to a Super Bowl appearance against the Bengals, this channel would have went to the moon. I promise you. we were growing like crazy during the playoffs. But we know how it goes. We know how it goes. Yeah, it's been dead. And we know how the algorithm works. You're on IG. You know how the algorithm works. There are only a few favored accounts within the IG algorithm, and I would consider myself to be one of those, but it's very hit or miss. It's not consistent. IG sometimes it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna show your content to a lot of people, and then other times they're like, we're gonna not show it to anyone. I'm like, sick. That's cool. So ultimately, oh dang, you got 20K followers on TikTok the week versus the Cowboys. That's one of the cool things about TikTok is you can really gain a lot of traction on TikTok fast. IG is going to be a slow burn. IG's designed to be slow, which is beyond insane to me. Just beyond insanity to me. Just driving away content creators at a epic clip. So good for them. But it will be their demise. So thankfully, we'll be good to go if that is the case. But yeah, if you TikTok, all it takes is one post and you can get thousands of followers just off one post. So there's definitely pros and cons to all platforms. But regardless of the platform, it's going to start picking up here really soon. Media says I hate IG sometimes. I hate IG all the time. I don't, but I hate I hate the algorithm. I mean, that might be one way to say it because the functionality of IG, what it should be, and the communities you can build. That's the best part of IG. But the algorithm is just so bad. Like it is really bad. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with IG. They got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to do. Or that's what I'm saying. If we got any developers in here, anyone who knows how to like make an app, let's make the next IG. I guarantee you we could do it. I've been saying it for years. I was like, man, what are we doing out here grinding IG? Let's just make a new IG. Let's just look at TikTok. Look at how fast TikTok blew past IG. All it takes is having a legitimate organic algorithm. That's it. If you have a good algorithm, that's it. And once you get the people on the app, you build the incentives out for monetization of the content creator. Then the content creators are able to pull users to I'm telling you, someone in here, if they know how to do, You know, let's do it. Let's make the next IG. Let's I'm ready. Down with IG. Not but I love IG. That's the hard part is I love the community. I love the everyone that we interact with. It's just the nuts and bolts of Instagram is just awful. Um but anyways, like I said, you can I will I could talk about IG all day, but I know that's not what you guys care about. I am monetized on IG. I get those super stickers, but for what that's worth. Um, so anyways, fun episode. We didn't really talk about a whole lot, but it was still a good time vibing with all the SDS today. Again, I'm probably gonna hop on IG pretty soon after this. So if you guys want to come through, hang out, do that. Might be doing that here pretty soon. So again, I'm trying to be better about not excluding IG just because I don't like their app because I like the people on IG. I just don't like the app, but I'll get over that. But again, shout out to everyone. Appreciate all the SDS in here. Again, you already know the vibes. Drop an SDS over on IG if you see me pop up and you pop in. And I'm excited. I'm excited for our continued growth together. I'm excited for what this year is because we know how it works. Once football's back, we're gonna be popping. So all the SDS in here, everyone who's grinded it out through the off season, you'll see when we get into the year, there's gonna be a lot more people showing up, and that's when the mod squad's gonna be active. That's when all the original SDS members are gonna be like, "Who are these new people?" So I'm looking forward to it. And again, we're right there. We are on the cusp of greatness. So we're gonna, the vibes. We're gonna keep grinding. We're gonna keep doing our thing. We're gonna keep pushing out content. We're gonna keep reporting on 49ers news, and we're gonna keep building. We're gonna keep getting better. That's it. That's the goal. We're gonna keep getting better and keep growing. And when we get those influx of when we get some of those lives where we got a couple hundred people in here, you already know the vibes. It's gonna be lit. We're gonna have all the OG SDS going stewy dumb in the chat, and we're gonna have all these new people in here. Like, what is this space that I'm in? Like, why are all these bread emojis in the chat? What does SDS mean? And we're just gonna be going crazy. We're just gonna be like SDS gang. We're gonna be like bread gang, and they're gonna be like, "What the hell? What is this? It's beautiful, but I don't know what it is." That's what this year is gonna be like. So very excited about it. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys always. Monday we'll be back. Maybe we'll get some stoking of the Jimmy Garoppolo fire from the media. Just remember, a lot of rumors and reports get dropped either Sunday night or Monday morning. So we're reaching that period about a week and a half until training camp. Jimmy Garoppolo's still on the roster. I would imagine Sunday night, Monday morning, little bit of stoking the fire of rumors. So maybe we get some rumors beginning of next week. We'll find out. But again, if you haven't already, smash that like button. To all the SDS lurkers, smash the like button. And you know the vibes. We'll be back next week. But you still want to kick it? Probably going to be on IG Live later. So appreciate you guys. I'm out of here over here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Until I see you on IG. All right, guys, I'm out of here.